the dramatic encounter of a boasting king with the God of heaven. When a proud king who rules the world suddenly discovers that someone greater than he rules the universe, anything can happen. That's why the little book of Daniel is not only vitally important, but also exciting reading. The characters in the real-life drama include the God of heaven, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, Daniel, a captive, prophet, statesman, 3 friends of Daniel who had what it takes. It also involved a dream that has collided head-on with the dreams of modern dictators, 2 images, a furnace heated 7 times hotter than usual, and a bow or burn story that reads like a rehearsal of one soon to come in our day. What does all this have to do with you? More than you think. The book of Daniel is full of challenge, encounter, confrontation, and how this ancient king reacted when challenged by the God of heaven, as well as how 4 Hebrew captives met the challenges of this heathen king. Could be an important education for you and me. 2 books of the Bible that are seldom studied and little understood are the book of Daniel in the Old Testament and the book of Revelation in the New Testament. Yet these are the 2 books that were written especially for our day. Both contain important information. Will Europe unite? Will there be another empire? What events will soon take place? It is most significant that the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation, though written so many years apart, are closely related. A careful student will find many ties between them. The first 6 chapters of Daniel are narration, and anything but dull reading. The last 6 are prediction. Today we will talk about the first 4 chapters. In the first chapters, we find Daniel and 3 of his friends captive in the city of Babylon. In the second chapter, the king is given a dream which impresses him very much, but which he cannot remember. He demands of his counselors, since they profess to be in touch with the gods, that they tell him both the dream and its meaning. When they fail, the whole lot of them are sentenced to death. But God reveals to Daniel the dream and its meaning. It is an outline of history from Daniel's day to the second coming of Christ. The king is very impressed with Daniel and with Daniel's God, but his pride has been hurt by the fact that the image shown him in the dream represents him as only the head of gold, who would be succeeded by others. He did not want to be succeeded, so in chapter 3, he has a great image made, all of gold, and commands everyone to bow down. The 3 friends of Daniel refuse to bow to a heathen king and are thrown into a furnace. But the Son of God himself joins them in the flames. Chapter 4 is written by the boasting king himself. It tells of his proud boast and how it took him a terrible 7 years, banished from his throne, to learn that the God of heaven rules over all. As we open our Bibles to the book of Daniel, we will encounter the assurance of a secure future. It may appear that Daniel took quite a risk when he offered to show the king of Babylon the correct interpretation for his dream. The king couldn't even remember his dream. His counselors couldn't tell him what it was, and the king, in fury, commanded the whole lot of them to be slain. This death decree applied to Daniel and his friends too, even though they had not been involved. What did Daniel do?
Then Daniel went in and desired of the king that he would give him time, and that he would show the king the interpretation.
Daniel went to the king and asked for time, promising an interpretation. Think of his confidence in God to promise an interpretation when he had no idea at the moment even what the dream was. Evidently, Daniel knew his God. Daniel and his friends simply went and prayed. Then God revealed to Daniel both the dream and its meaning. God didn't let him down. You can read the details of the dream and Daniel's interpretation of it as found in Daniel chapter 2, verse 26 to 45. Notice Daniel told Nebuchadnezzar that the head of gold represents him, the king of Babylon, and any good politician would have stopped with that flattering word, but Daniel went on. He must tell it as God gave it. What was to follow Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom?
And after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth.
Nebuchadnezzar was to be succeeded by 3 more world kingdoms: Media-Persia, represented by the chest and arms of silver, Greece by the thighs of brass, and Rome by the legs of iron. But then the kingdom was to be divided. There would be no 5th world kingdom, only 4. Rome was the last. History has followed this prophecy like a blueprint. After Babylon, Media-Persia, Greece, and Rome came a divided Europe represented by the 10 toes. According to this prophecy, will Europe ever be united?
And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay.
They shall not cleave. They shall not stick or adhere. Here is the reason for history's uncanny repetition of this prophecy. These words have spelled the downfall, one after another, of every would-be dictator since the Caesars. God says Europe will not and cannot stick together. What will happen in the days of these kings? A divided Europe as we know it.
And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom, which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever.
In the days of these kings, in our time, God will set up his kingdom. Evidently, we are living very near the day of Christ's return. It has been told that this prophecy was once explained to Kaiser Wilhelm at the height of his power. He said, "I can't accept it. It doesn't fit in with my plans." Does it fit in with your plans? If it doesn't, change your plans. Whether or not it fits in with your plans depends on your relationship with Jesus. The high points of this prophecy are these. 1. There will be no 5th physical world kingdom. 2. Europe will not be united. And 3. Christ will come very soon. And what an evidence of Bible reliability! How could Daniel possibly have known, except by divine inspiration, that only 4 major kingdoms, not 5 or 6 or 10, would dominate the ancient biblical world? But now back to Nebuchadnezzar and his confrontation with the God of heaven. He had been greatly impressed by Daniel's interpretation, but he soon lost faith in God, returned to idolatry, and set up the golden image on the plains of Dura. And Daniel's 3 friends, evidently Daniel for some reason was not there, refused to bow down. They didn't bow. So they were cast into the overheated furnace, and the king, furious that they had dared to defy him, watched. As the king gazed into the furnace, what did he see?
He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt, and the form of the 4th is like the Son of God.
4 men, though his men had cast in only 3, and the 4th looked like the Son of God. Tell me how this heathen king knew what the Son of God looked like. Had the lives of those 3 men so reflected the character of Christ, so faithfully witnessed to him of the Redeemer to come, that the king could recognize him? Think of it. Do any of us reflect the image of Jesus to such an extent that our friends and neighbors can recognize him? These 3 men did not know that God would deliver them, but they trusted him, and whether he spared their lives or not, they would not disobey him. They honored God, and so in the crisis, he honored them. Think what a close companionship with the Lord must have been theirs. that he would come and walk with them in the fire. Perhaps if we prayed as they prayed, we too would have the marked answers to prayer that they did. We may need a faith like theirs sooner than we think. Do we face a similar test in the future?
And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
We will not go into the identity of the beast or the image in this lesson, for it is a big subject, but soon, in the final crisis, there will be another image, though this time not a literal image, and all who refuse to bow down will be faced with death. Like the 3 Hebrews, we shall have to choose. We shall need faith like theirs. And if we don't stand for our Lord now, how can we be sure we will stand for him then? Back to Nebuchadnezzar. God loved this heathen king. He was determined to save him if he could. The 4th chapter relates how much it took to cure a man of his pride. Thank God it worked. Think it through. How far will God have to go to cure us of our pride and our boasting? If the final crisis were to come today, how would we meet it? Are we meeting the little tests each day as we would want to meet the final test? Is our relationship with Jesus so close that we could walk with him through the fire and he with us? If Christ were to come today, would his coming spoil our plans?